Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. It is Level Up Mastery Monday with Carrie and I. Carrie might be having some technical difficulties this morning, but you guys, it's Monday. Sometimes we have dumpster fires in the morning on Mondays, and that's okay. We're going to get through this. But today's June 5th, you guys, and this is our first live session since EXP shareholders. And I'm going to do like a shameless plug because I have to tell you that EXP shareholders will live on forever as a core memory for me. It was absolutely extraordinary. There were so many opportunities to network and get to know people and get to know you. So many of you guys came up to me, introduced yourself. We thank you so much for your support, for just hanging out with us every single Monday. Tuning in, asking for resources, participating. Remember that in your business and in your life, the more that you show up for yourself, the more that is going to be reciprocated toward you. So continue to tune in, continue to focus on your growth and your education. Ask the questions, continue to reach out to me, ask me for resources, because like I always say, you're definitely not in this alone and you shouldn't be. So reach out if there's anything that you guys need as you're listening to this. Reach out to Carrie, reach out to myself, or feel confident enough to reach out to some of the other speakers that are coming in, because we're all here to support you in different ways. So our topic today, hey, Carrie, can you hear me? Hey,
I can hear you.
Great.
Hi.
Perfect. So I was just about to introduce our topic for today. When I was at EXP shareholders, I had so many people approach me and ask the best way to get into production if you are a new agent. And so today, Carrie and I have put together four objectives that you should be focused on when trying to get into production. These are four areas that you should really master your skill set in. Listen, Carrie, how many times as a business owner can we get distracted by all the shiny objects that are around us, right? It's so hard to focus and like know which path to choose, right?
Yeah, and it's the most dangerous zone to be in, because almost any path you choose, if you do it consistently, will get you some result. But the problem is most people, if they're new or not even new, but just struggling. I know a lot of agents out there who are not brand new in this business, and yet with the market changing, they're not seeing as much production because they have to do something different to get a same result now. And they haven't been to going down a path of consistent lead generation. So this is going to be great for any of you. Consistency is the key. So if you get distracted all the time, you're getting diverted from consistency. And then no matter if you think that new shiny object is going to be a better lead generation opportunity or not, it doesn't even matter because you're not doing any of them consistently. So that's really key. But there are some things that are the easiest that anybody can do, and I think are kind of foundational to most real estate agents' success. And those are the objectives we came up with today.
Yes. So you guys, make sure that you're taking notes. We are live streaming in EXP Workplace. So type in the chat if you have any questions. We're also in the world and on YouTube. And listen, we're not just here. EXP University isn't just here on Mondays. We also have Wealth Wednesdays and Fire Fridays. So make sure that you're time blocking in your schedule. Again, at the beginning of this conversation, I had mentioned how important it is to focus on your own growth. Do you have time blocked in your schedule for learning, for educating, for leveling up your business skills? If not, today is the day, you guys. We're halfway through the year, Carrie. I didn't realize that until last week. I was like, holy cow. We're halfway through the year.
Yeah, it's going fast. Many people feel like their first quarter was a bit of a bust if I'm talking to hundreds of agents across the country. But the good news is it's picking up now, and there's a lot of opportunity, but you have to get yourself into action. And you can make up for lost ground, but you can't if you're just sitting around. So
let's
what's
dive
the first
in.
objective?
Yeah. So the first skill that Carrie and I recommend that you focus on in order to get into production really quickly is onboarding your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Now, your sphere of influence, Carrie and I have defined this before, but if you haven't heard that term, your sphere of influence is anybody who knows you, likes you, and trusts you. They may just know you and they don't quite trust you or have confidence in your skill set, especially if you're new. But onboarding them purposefully and intentionally into your CRM will, like, there's so much business out there, and you're going to be able to not only connect with people, earn their trust and confidence over time, but also get referrals from them. So what's the first step for onboarding your sphere of influence? We recommend that you reach out and introduce yourself as a professional resource, as a true professional in the real estate industry. These should be people who are in your phone. You guys, I have like 320 contacts. I know that's not a lot, but 320 contacts in my phone alone. You've got LinkedIn, you've got your Facebook account, you've got Instagram. All of the people who you connect with on there, those are your sphere of influence. You
Yeah,
cannot
I used to tell
go to
people, if
waste.
you've recently had to invite someone to something, a graduation party, a wedding, like
Mhm.
anything in your family, who was on that list? Because
Yes.
sometimes they're not in your phone, but there's someone you invited, and so you have their mailing or email address. Maybe you have a Gmail account with contacts in it, right?
Mhm.
And of course, the people that you actually go and get services from, your hairdresser or barber. If you get your nails done, or you're honestly, if you see the person that brings you your mail on a regular basis, anybody that you're seeing in life on a regular basis is actually your sphere of influence. I've had people who, they go to the same gas station like every single week. They grab their coffee. They see the same gas station attendant like weekly after week after week. That is actually somebody in your sphere of influence. And so people don't always think of those people, but your favorite store that you shop at, you probably have conversations with people and you don't realize that you've built some sort of a rapport or relationship with them. And it is not inappropriate if you are going and spending money or seeing them on a regular basis, that you would have that conversation and somehow it would come up that you are a professional realtor and you're there to service them if they need help. And it's just a
Absolutely.
matter of opening our mind to who are the people we actually talk with on a regular basis. Or if we don't talk with them on a regular basis, they're still in our sphere of influence. They still know us, like us, and trust us. And those are two very different scripts that we use, but those are all sphere of influence, right, Haley?
Yes. And there's tools that you guys can use to determine who's your sphere of influence. A tool that we have here at EXP is a memory jogger. So reach out to me. I'm happy to point you in the direction of where you can find the memory jogger. I can send it to you. But we have these tools, you guys. You just have to make sure that you're incorporating them and using them. Once you have determined who is in your sphere of influence by using the memory jogger, you're going to reach out. There's lots of different scripts that you can use for this. Carrie and I have even found how valuable it is when you not only use a script to reach out to somebody, but you're also, after you're done talking to them, and we'll go through a couple of these things, but I want to point out one important feature or skill that people have been incorporating, and that's sending a video message after you leave somebody a message or after you get off the phone with them. I have seen this implemented so many times, Carrie, and it has worked really effectively, because a lot of times when you call somebody and you leave a message, let's be realistic, how a lot of us don't check our voicemail, right? But if you send a follow-up text message with a video, and now they can see that they're putting a face to the name, now you're real. Now you're connecting with them and you're letting them know, hey, I just left you a voicemail. I'm really excited to connect with you. Or it's, hey, we just got off the phone and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to connect with me, getting to know me. I'm really excited to build your trust and confidence over time and remain a professional resource for you as a realtor. These are the types of messages that when you're sending them out in a video, you guys, that's like the little shift that you're making that takes you and elevates your skill above everyone else. Are these little key pieces, right, Carrie?
Yeah. And so audio messages, but I think it can only be done if it's like iPhone to iPhone. I found out, I didn't realize that. But audio messages is now a feature in your texting, but you can also do it to anybody through Facebook Messenger. So you can do some video, you can do some audio messages. Those are just things that differentiate you and also are more likely to be clicked on and listened to versus read.
Mm-hmm.
Or watched versus read. It's just kind of human behavior right now, and people are getting used to it, but it's also different. And so different is good because it catches people's attention. So if you're
Absolutely.
super uncomfortable with the video idea, I would encourage you to at least then send a follow-up audio message that is just basically saying, thank you so much for your taking the time. It was fun to reconnect with you. Looking forward to staying in better communication or touch. One of the things that a lot of people have limiting beliefs around, and if you are one of these people watching, you might have this, which is either you're new in real estate and you haven't kept in touch with your sphere that well. And now just because you're in real estate, you need to reach out to them and it feels very inauthentic. It's not like, oh, okay, now I'm going to touch base and keep in touch. It's just because I want their business. That's how I feel they're going to take it. Or you might have been a realtor for the last 3 or 4 years, but you've been very busy and you haven't really had to do much lead generation because that's the market we found ourselves in. And you haven't done a good job of keeping in touch. And now you're trying to get more business. So now you need to do it. We all have these kind of limiting beliefs. Like people are going to see through that. They're going to think that we're only calling them because we need business and we don't know how to do it. We don't like that feeling. And so then we don't go forward and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I would encourage you to do is to just be very direct with them. It's been a busy 4 years. I've been super blessed and grateful. The market's been crazy. I have not been able to keep in touch with people I've wanted to the way I have wanted to. And I apologize for that. But the good news is I am now. And so I would love to reconnect with you. Do you have time for me to buy you a coffee sometime or a quick phone call just to catch up? Oh, by the way, I have some great resources I'm offering all of my, the people I know. And I'd love to make sure I have your correct email address, et cetera, so I can send something out to you in my newsletter. Or, some people are actually finding local businesses or service providers that they trust and they work with and collaborating with them and getting coupons and things of that nature to provide value to the people that they're connected with, whether it be on social media or through an email newsletter or text message or whatever it might be. So you have to get comfortable just being honest with people and just saying, I haven't done as great of a job keeping in touch as I'd like to. Life is busy. Business has been busy. However, it's important to me. And so I'm doing it now. And so I just wanted to reconnect with you. And nobody ever gets mad about that. In fact, that authenticity or that vulnerability in that moment is actually makes you very likable. So don't use that as an excuse not to reach out. Just reach out anyway, but make it a point to kind of apologize, but also let them know that you're committed to doing better this time around. And, most people are going to say, I don't do that great of a job of keeping in touch with people either. Life is busy. Hey, thanks.
Life is busy. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for connecting. So that's the number one thing that holds people back from actually reaching out to their sphere of influence. So I wanted to make sure to bring that up.
Yeah. And you guys, there's lots of scripts that you can use. So if you're looking for a script or you're looking for the exact process to use, please reach out to me because I can give you all the resources and tools that I have to do this. I want to make sure that we touch on operationally what this looks like to make sure that we're consistent and we make sure that we are scaling this process. Okay. So I want to make sure that when you are onboarding your sphere of influence, there's a few things that you need to make sure that you're doing. You're getting their correct email address. You're making sure that you have the correct phone number for them, or at least the phone number that they want you to reach out to. I also want to make sure that you're getting the address of their home, because even if they're not looking to buy right now or sell, we want to make sure that we're also putting them on a market report and that you're asking permission to do that. And then the next day you're following up to make sure that they received the market report, the neighborhood market report, and then that they're also getting put on a follow-up campaign. Now, whatever CRM that you're using, there's going to be some follow-up campaigns in there. But at the very least, we want to make sure that they are on a quarterly call. So we're asking for their email, we're asking for their address, we're sending a thank you note, putting them on a market report, and we're putting them on a follow-up campaign. Really, that is the process for onboarding your sphere of influence. Of course, that's the strategy behind it. And if you want, more of a in-depth conversation of how you do this or some script practice around this, please don't hesitate to reach out to Carrie or I. So let's dive into number 2, Carrie, which is asking for referrals. This is a skill that you absolutely need to master. Besides asking for the business, we also want to make sure that we're always asking for referrals. We're asking for the business. We're asking for referrals. Carrie, what's the best script that you use for asking for a referral?
So interestingly, mine is going to be a little bit different. So usually my conversation is reaching out to actually check in with them and offer something of value first and foremost, because that's just my personality and what has always made me feel comfortable. So I always had a plan for I was going to give them some sort of value. It might have been something going on in the market. It might have been, have you heard about XYZ? If I was calling somebody in a specific neighborhood, it might have been something about what was upcoming there. I was really specific when I would call people and what I was going to actually call about.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it quite regularly. So it was a plan. And it was just reaching out. How are you? Do you need anything? Hey, I'm calling to tell you ABC. I thought that might be of value to you or somebody that you know. And people always felt like, okay, this is a quick, short call. Carrie's touching base, but she's bringing something of value. And over a period of time, since I did that consistently, people would actually start to pick up. Because number one, they knew I wasn't going to chat with them on the phone for 2 hours because they didn't have time for that. And I was also going to bring them something of value that usually they took away. And I'm sure some things were more valuable than others, but there was something of value. There's something that they knew that they could count on, or I would have something that I would show up with that would be interesting to them or someone they knew. I would encourage you to think about that because it makes you feel better about making the calls. It makes you feel like you are doing something for someone other than calling them and asking from something. We never feel good taking and not giving. And it is the law of reciprocity that actually exists that human beings follow, which is if you're given something, you want to return that favor in some way over time. Oh, am I back?
Yeah, I think you broke up a little bit, but I think we understood what you were saying. It's important. We feel as humans that when we give when somebody gives us something, we want to also give something in return. And so I really want to focus in on that type of mindset, because a lot of times when we call and we're asking for referrals, we almost feel guilty that we're continuously asking for something. But here, this is a totally different perspective, Carrie, right? It's about, what can I bring to you? What value can I add to your life right now? And a lot of times, Carrie, I've actually heard you, talk about referring other professional services.
Yeah.
So for example, when you're reaching out to your sphere of influence and you're asking them, what can I do to be a professional resource for you right now? A lot of people, they just think you're going to be a professional resource in real estate, but you have a lot of connections. And so maybe you're going to introduce them to a landscaper that you've been using. Maybe you're going to introduce them to a mortgage professional who can help them refinance right now. Maybe it's, oh my gosh, who knows? Like in our neighborhood right now, like because it's the summertime, everybody's looking for a babysitter. Everybody's looking for a babysitter. So everyone's calling each other like, who do you use? Who can we connect with? And so sometimes it's just about that. It's like, what do you need right now in your life that I might be able to be a resource for? Who can I connect you to? And then at the same time, maybe you're also asking, hey, if you guys are not looking to buy or sell right now, who else do you know that would benefit from having a conversation with me? And so that's the script that I use. Who would benefit from having a conversation with me? Would that be of value to somebody else? So again, it's about showing up, serving other people, and bringing value to their life. That's the frame of mind that I want to be in when I'm lead generating and when I'm connecting with people. How can I be of value to you? And when you can shift that mindset that you're not trying to take from people, but rather you're trying to give, it really changes the way that you approach the conversation. You're letting go of expectations and you're letting it organically unfold, which I found to be much more successful, at least in my lead generating.
Yeah. And tactically, if you're listening to this and you aren't good at this, what I would do is go look at how many months are left in this year and figure out something according to maybe the time of year, whether it's summer or it's going to be fall, or once the winter, things that people need for home ownership, for maintaining their homes, or getting ready for different seasons, or maybe a new restaurant opened up in your area and you'd like to support them. But go figure out the next 5 or 6 months and reach out to somebody and ask them if they'd be willing to provide something that to your database, to your sphere of influence, to your friends and family, whether it be a small coupon or a free estimate or whatever it is, so that you have something of value to bring. And not only call people and ask them so that you can actually get into conversation and get those pieces of business and referrals, but send it out on your social media and help promote that local business.
Yeah.
Because again, when you're giving to that local business, there's a great opportunity for them to probably want to give back to you. And you might start getting referrals from those other local service providers and business owners, which is another whole stream of business that you could get. It also shows you as a local expert collaborating with others in your local market from a social media perspective, which is huge. And then, of course, maybe send it out in a newsletter. And in a
Mhm.
monthly basis, you have something that's going out and you have various touch points. And now you have an actual plan. And if you don't have a plan and you don't know who to call or what to do and what to say, you won't do it. But this is a
Mhm.
very simple plan anybody watching this could follow today.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carrie. Okay, you guys, number 3 is going to be open house strategy. Okay. Open houses can be your number one or your main client acquisition strategy. Done correctly, open houses can change your business. Okay. It's about understanding how to be effective, how to be efficient, and how to scale the process of doing open houses. And so there's lots of different strategies around open houses. Here at EXP, there are just countless resources, trainings, you guys. You can not only get the trainings, but the tools that we have, the resources for you to create flyers, to understand how to market an open house, how to effectively advertise it through KV Core. You guys, you can actually do that. And if you're not using KV Core, check out the features in your own CRM on how you can link your open house to your CRM, and people can actually sign up for your open house, or they can sign in at your open house, and their information automatically gets integrated, you guys, to your CRM. How cool is that? So there's lots of strategies here, but Carrie and I want to focus a little bit on how to remain consistent with your open houses and how you can optimize it through Facebook Lives. You can invite your database, which is what Carrie used to do, and you can connect with neighbors. So I'm going to let Carrie talk about this because she was the queen of open houses.
This is how I built my business, as you know, Haley. For most of you that don't know, my first 2 years in real estate, I didn't have any business and really no sphere. I was super young, didn't have money. And so I did open houses. So you can do this without any excuses. And I also became a top producing listing agent by sitting in other people's open houses. And it was just the consistency first and foremost. I
Mhm.
want to bring it down to the simplicity of it because I was not good at it at first because I didn't know what I was doing. And that's going to be you too, but who cares? Just keep doing it, because the only way you get better at something is by
By
actually
doing
doing
it
it and
over and over
practicing.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you do that? Go into your MLS and find the other EXP listings in your area and reach out to the agents and ask them if you can do open houses at their listings. I would encourage you, if you're going to do that, do it in a geographical area that's pretty close to one another, if that's possible, because then people are going to start seeing your signs over and over and over again in the same area. They're out running errands, going to different stores on the weekend, and they're driving by your signs every weekend. It makes you look very busy. It makes you look like you're selling a lot of real estate. And you might run into the same people multiple times. And sometimes it just takes a few times meeting somebody to build the rapport to turn them into a client. And that's what
Mhm.
happened to me many different times. They wouldn't give me their information the first time. I didn't know how to do that very well. However, I continued to build rapport, and they came into multiple open houses. And then finally they said, well, do you think you could help us too? Because man, you're out here hustling, working hard, and we see you're selling lots of houses. That's the assumption people make. And that's
Yeah.
okay, by the way. Yeah, I didn't tell them I was selling a bunch of houses, but I wasn't going to tell them I wasn't either because I was
Well,
new.
can we just pause for 1 second? Because I want to reiterate this, Carrie, because I've actually had a few agents use the excuse of I can't do an open house because I don't have any listings. So if you do not have any listings, I want to repeat what Carrie said. Go into your local MLS, okay? Find all of the houses in a one geographic area that are listed by EXP agents and reach out to them and ask if they will allow you to hold their house open. You can do that. If you don't know how to do that, we need to talk about getting some MLS training, and that's okay. We just need to sign up for MLS training so that you understand how you can navigate through the MLS and be more efficient and effective using it. But you can reach out to other agents at EXP. You can ask them to hold their houses open. And like Carrie said, doing it in the same geographic area over and over again, people are going to see you. They're going to start recognizing you, and it's going to start building confidence in them to use you, because they're going to see like, holy cow, Carrie is doing all these open houses every weekend. She is killing it. And I want to work with her.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, busy, successful people are attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's what you need to appear like, whether you are or not, both in person and in social media. So I didn't have the opportunity to do social media. You all do. So not only are you going to go out there and do other people's open houses, you're going to do a Facebook Live every time so that the people that can't see your signs and aren't driving around in your area still can see you consistently showing up, and they're going to have the same idea that Haley just said that the people driving around that sees your signs are.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Carrie's really busy out there. She must be crushing it in real estate. That's awesome. I'm going to reach out to her because she looks like she's having fun and she's working hard. And that's what people like. Whether they know that that's what they like or not, doesn't matter. Subconsciously, that's what they attract to. So you
Yes.
need to get yourself out there and you need to do it consistently. But knocking around the neighbors, on the doors of the neighbors, inviting them, sharing with them that you're going to be doing the open house, asking them if they know somebody that wants to move to their neighborhood. The odds of you meeting somebody, if you did that consistently every single time that you did an open house that's thinking about selling their house, is extremely high, because statistics show that when a home is listed in a neighborhood, 2 to 3 other homes are going to be listed in the next 3 to 6 months. I
Mm-hmm.
would say probably right now, because more and more homes are coming on the market because our market is shifting, probably in the next 3 months, there's going to be at least 3 more properties listed. Don't you want to list one of those at least? You will be able to if you just knock on the door, because
Just knock
oftentimes
on the
it's just
doors.
about timing.
Yep, you're just inviting them over to the open house. That's all that you're
That's
doing. You're
it.
not trying to sell them anything at the door. You're introducing yourself, you're inviting them, you're being warm and welcoming. And if you continue to be in the same general area, people are going to start recognizing you guys. You don't want to miss out on these opportunities.
Yeah.
So with just a couple of minutes left, let's dive into the fourth skill,
Yeah.
which is mastering your CRM.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're using KV Core or not, all that matters to me as an operations coach is to make sure that you have a CRM that you're using consistently. You guys, consistent is the key word of the day. I feel like we're Sesame Street. The word of the day is consistency. That's us right now. So we want to consistently use our CRM, whether it's KV Core or something else. I recommend KV Core because there's a lot of coaching and training and resources and tools here at EXP that are going to help you to optimize KV Core, but you have to take some classes. You have to get into some free training with your CRM to learn how to use it, to maximize it, and to, at the very least, know how to insert a task, how to apply a follow-up campaign, and then you can start expanding. Is there a newsletter feature? Is there an open house feature, right? There are so many ways to optimize your CRM, but you have to learn how to use it. And I'm telling you, it doesn't take that long. Even doing some kind of a training 10 to 15 minutes a day for a week can completely impact your business. You just have to time block the time to make sure that you're doing it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that people get overwhelmed with a CRM because they think of it in such complex ways. I'm
Yeah.
a very simplistic person and I'm very good at lead generation. However, I don't use a CRM in a complex way at all. I use it very simplistically, which is simply to make sure I have my people somewhere, because there's no way I can remember them all in my head anymore. And then number 2 is that I have an opportunity to, if I want to, just send a mass email or send a mass text just to get something out. Like oftentimes I didn't even have campaigns set up because I didn't have time to do it and I wasn't that creative. So instead, I just made sure everybody was in a CRM and tagged appropriately, so that when I was going to do my monthly newsletter, which by the way was on my calendar the same day every month, I would just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would do it at that moment and just send it off as a mass message. You guys, it doesn't have to be so complex. If you're hung up on what am I going to say? I don't know how to create campaigns, yada, yada. Don't do any of that. Instead, just send an email and just do it the same day it might take you an hour a month. Like everybody can do that, right, Haley?
Yeah. And the other thing too is that with most CRMs that are specialized for real estate agents, there's a lot of campaigns that are already in there. And I've had these objections come up over and over again with agents here at EXP, and they keep saying, well, I don't like the campaigns that are in KV Core. Okay, then let's duplicate it and change some of it so that it's your own language and that you feel like it's more authentic. But the point of the CRM is to help you manage and be consistent, right? Consistent with communicating with your database. So let's not get so focused on the verbiage or, oh, I don't like the campaigns or whatever. No, we're not doing any of that. We're going to put everybody on a quarterly call. We're going to make sure that they're getting a monthly email of some kind. And we're going to just at least go in and learn how to use the CRM. That's the most important thing. So those are the 4 key areas that Carrie and I really want you to feel empowered to focus on as we're jumping into the last part of the year. If you would like to have a further conversation about this, about developing a strategy like Carrie had mentioned, with each of these 4 skill sets, reach out. You don't have to do it alone. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Carrie. Up next, we have Sherry Swift. She's going to be talking about performance and growth as she guides you through the 4 realtor myths that you can safely ignore. Discover the truth about the market, interest rates, and more as Sherry debunks recent misconceptions. Thank you so much, guys. Carrie and I will see you next Monday.
See you next Monday. Bye, guys.
EXP, welcome to your season of opportunity. Opportunity for what, Sherry? Well, opportunity to demonstrate your differentiator and reflect that difference in your real estate business. Opportunity to double down on your habits. Opportunity to tighten up on your time blocks. And then finally, opportunity to widen your connections and demonstrate leadership in your business and all of your relationships. Welcome to the correction. My name is Sherry Swift. I am a performance coach. I'm a leadership coach. And it has been every day my pleasure for over 20 years helping people to unlock their next level of greatness. So listen, let's you and I unlock a few things together today. I am excited to invite you as kind of a little fly on the wall and a secretive opportunity for you to kind of spy in on a coaching session. I would love to give you an opportunity to hear a few of the realtor myths that I hear on a regular basis that I think you should ignore. I know that you're hearing the chitter and the chatter all over the place. Some people have already made the decision that it's going to be too tough for me. It's going to be too hard. The market is going to be terrible. The accessibility and availability for sales and for opportunity is just not going to be here. Some people have made that decision, and then they made that decision and threw out those seeds to harvest in front of and for everyone who can possibly listen to it and will take it in. So today, I want to talk about 4 myths. I want to talk about 4 myths that you should 100% ignore. And these are things that I have actually had conversations with a few of my partners and clients about. So here we go. Myth number 1, the market, Sherry, is crashing. So it's a terrible time to sell real estate. The market is crashing and it's a terrible time to sell real estate. Well, first of all, what else are you going to do? Right? Did you make a decision some time ago? I don't care if it was just 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that you were going to be in the business of real estate. And if you made that decision, that is what you do. That is what you do no matter what. You know, a lot of people can't really process this understanding until I give them this example. I say to people, a few years back, globally, we had a very difficult time and we experienced a global pandemic. I bet that there were a lot of medical professionals that thought, it is a really bad time to be a medical professional, right? But what else is there for them to do? Now, here's what's real and righteous. What's real and righteous is that they have this amazing opportunity to demonstrate their value and their differentiator to the world because of this crisis, right? There was never a more important time, space, and place to be in relationship with a medical professional. And I'll say the same to you today. Sure, the real estate market is a little different. No, it's not crashing. It's correcting. It's a little bit different than it was, but there is a tremendous opportunity for you to demonstrate consistent value and show people why you are different than everyone else that's out there that's doing this part-time, that's not committed to their outcome, and that it's decided that they're going to sell real estate socially. So I'm excited for you to respond to this correction in a correct way. Myth number 2 that I hear on a very regular basis in my coaching conversations: interest rates are so high that, listen, people, they're not going to buy homes this season. Listen, I know you've heard it. Interest rates are so high that people are just going to stop buying homes. Here's the reality of the situation. Interest rates have been so much higher, and people will always need housing. You need a little perspective. What you need to do, if you are a person that's thinking and feeling this way, you need to go back and look at the trends. Rates have been so much higher than they are right now. There is not a question that people will always have a need for housing. People will need to purchase and sell homes. Now, what we don't have so much of today is we don't have people that are out there kicking tires and unsure of what they're able to do, and just have such a huge desire to participate in the market because the rates are so low, and they're out there maybe possibly wasting a lot of time because they can't really execute effectively all the way through. How many offers did you write over the last 2 years where people couldn't execute, but they just found it so irresistible that they had to try to get in? This is a market where you find people who have a real need. Now, what it's important for you to do is make sure in a market like this that you are in relationship with all the people who you need to be in relationship with. You have a group of people that you are responsible for, and you have a certain number of transactions that you need to sell in order to hit your personal goals. Are you going to be able to sell the number of transactions that you need to sell in order to hit your personal goal? Will you have enough people in your life to hit those goals? The answer is absolutely yes. The answer is absolutely yes. Your job right now is to make sure that all of your people that you feel responsible for only think of you when it comes to their real estate needs, their friends and family's real estate needs, that you are the realtor referral of choice. It is your job to make sure that those relationships are firm, because the reality of the situation is more people are going after fewer opportunities. So there is enough. You just have to be really extremely intentional about it. Next myth: values are dropping so fast, Sherry, that we won't be able to get, the sellers won't be able to get fair market value. Values are dropping so fast that, sellers, they won't be able to get fair market value for their homes. That's rubbish. Values are not dropping at this ridiculous rate of speed. What's happening is rates are on the rise, which is causing buyers to reevaluate and investigate and interrogate their motivation. So what you have to know is that as long as we have buyers, because buyers, they actually determine value. You know this. The market is determined, and the value, home values are determined by how much a buyer is willing to pay. Hashtag comps, right? Okay. And so we don't have this rapid rate of decrease in values right now. What we have is we have buyers, and this is how you have to explain it to your sellers. We have buyers who are paying more for their money. As their rates go up, they have to interrogate reality a lot more intentionally. And that is impacting what they are willing to do and not do, how aggressive they are willing to be and not be in order to lock down the home of their dreams. The market was so inflated that there is enough room to let a little bit of air out of it and still not have a completely airless balloon. Tell me if that makes sense. I know that makes sense to you. So please make sure that you adjust that mindset. The truth is, the values in every market, in most markets, is 100% sustaining because there's a lack of inventory. And as long as there's a lack of inventory, buyers are still going to be willing to do what they need to do. Inventory is still low, so we are not going to have all the air coming out of this balloon. And then finally, myth number 4, the opportunity ship has sailed. The opportunity ship has sailed. I should have been in the market 2 years ago. I should have been in the market 3 years ago. This opportunity ship has sailed. And the reality of the situation is that whatever market you find yourself in is the best market to demonstrate your value. Wherever you are is where you're at. So you have to make sure. There has never been a more important time and season to study. Not study exactly where you are right now, but study the trends so that you can commit to teaching people how to think about where we are. Your job is consultation in this type of market. Your job is consultation. Selling, not so much, because please don't tell anybody that I said this to you, but the reality of the situation is we don't sell houses. Houses don't require a person to sell them, right? Someone sees a house, it's a good fit. I'm going to buy it or I'm not going to buy it. What we do is we consult buyers and sellers through the process. We negotiate on their behalf. We are consultants. Sure, we're real estate salespeople, but in our core, we are consultants, and there's never been a more important time to exercise that consulting muscle than the market that we find ourselves in today. I want to encourage you to study trends. I want to encourage you to have intelligent conversations with those people around you. And whenever you find yourself surrounded by people who are spitting out these myths and putting out all this negativity into the energy and the universe, I want you to say, no, thank you. I'm not interested in that ridiculous conversation. There is more than enough opportunity for all of us out here. And I am going to take responsibility for the people that are my relationships so I can make sure that they don't forget about me. So listen, wherever you are in the world or in the week, know that I am here as a resource for you. Our wonderful partners with eXp University is here as a resource for you. And all you need to do is ever raise your hand and keep plugging in order to get what you need to succeed in this year that you've doubled down and decided to be who you've decided to be in 2023. Please make sure that we connect on the workplace. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram at the Sherry Swift. That's THEE Sherry Swift. And then more and most importantly, let's connect on my YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe and follow, because I'm constantly putting content like this out there to keep you motivated and focused on the things that matter the most. Make it a fantastic week wherever you are in the week, and we'll see you next time around.
Watching Level Up. Coming up next, build better rapport with your clients with your host, David Frost.
Hey everybody, it's David Frost. I am out of the Jacksonville, North Carolina market. I run a top producing real estate team here. I'm excited to be here to share this course with you. I've been doing real estate for 9 years now. Okay, so I'm not real old, but I'm not real new either. Sold a ton of houses. I've been with eXp for 3 years. I'm a 3-time icon agent. All right, so prior to real estate, I was in the military. So I was an Army CID agent. So if you're not familiar with that, it's the equivalent of NCIS agent on TV. Obviously, the TV show is a lot more exciting in a sense of episode to episode, but that's what I did. So I worked specifically for the Army. So CID is Army Nexus crimes, but it's all felony level crimes. So I worked murders, suicides, sexual assaults. I've worked bank robberies, fraud cases, counterfeit, and I worked the war crimes against Saddam Hussein in Iraq. So that was kind of probably one of my most interesting background stories or investigative pieces there. So I served in Iraq in 03-04, which is the initial war. So I was there one full year. I was on a war crimes team, and we were sent there just for the war crimes against Saddam Hussein and kind of to collect evidence and stuff like that. I actually was sent out a couple of times where we thought we had bombed him and killed him. And I went there and processed some bodies and fingerprinted the places and tried to collect evidence then. But however, as we know, he wasn't in those buildings. They caught him later. But so pretty neat background for me. But during the course of this career, obviously, I realized that one of the most important aspects to my job and or training was rapport building, right? It was, and then a lot of people always want to know, well, rapport building, investigate, why would that be one of the most important pieces? And if you don't realize it, rapport building with people daily is what you do. If you don't know people, you got to find a common ground and be able to talk to people you don't know. So, for me as a CID agent, it was huge and probably the most important piece of what I did for the 10 years that I was a CID agent, because think about it. I had to have people trust me, right? So I was a detective, federal agent, cop, whatever you want to call me. I had to have people trust me to gain information from them freely, right? Some people had to provide me some very uncomfortable information. When we're talking about like sexual assaults or something like that, it could be very uncomfortable not knowing that person, especially maybe if you're a female talking to a male or a male talking to a female. A good detective or cop is able to overcome that by rapport building, by establishing like a common ground with somebody who trusts them, right? So, and then of course you had people that's going to have to tell on their friends. A lot of people told on their friends. And then last but not least, during an interrogation, we are trying to gain information or knowledge from the criminal themselves. And we've got to get that information and obtain the confession. So it was imperative for us to be really good at this, to do our jobs in every aspect of it. So again, when I transitioned out of out of law enforcement into real estate, I realized it's basically the same thing. You've got to be able to talk to everybody and other people, and you got to show up at their houses and do all this same type of rapport building in order to gain the trust and the information you're looking for, and hopefully for them to choose you to list their property with you and or to buy a property with you. And it starts with the rapport building, believe it or not. So look, I think the biggest obstacle for you as a real estate agent and many people in general is being able to relate to those they don't know. Okay. I think in real estate courses, this should be taught. Somebody should come in and teach rapport building first, because from that point on, then you can use your skills, your experience, a value proposition as a real estate agent, why you versus them. But if you can't break the ice and get through that, it's going to be very difficult to even get to that point, even if you're the most qualified. So I think the rapport building piece is the biggest obstacles, breaking the ice while on appointments or on the phone. And then most agents, when they don't know how to do this or feel comfortable with doing this, they're fearful. So that means they're fearful to make calls. They're fearful to go on appointments and prospect or to call leads aggressively. So in turn, it hurts their business significantly from the agents who have figured this out. And early on, obviously, that's one of my strong points, is when I got out of law enforcement and real estate, I wasn't scared to talk to anybody or call anybody because I had to do that already. And I had to talk about uncomfortable things. And and go to people's houses and tell them certain things that may not be the best thing. So again, for me, I was never fearful of this. But now on my team and teaching my team, I have realized most are. So I've really dedicated on my team to teach them how to rapport build to get them to overcome this fear. And I think for you guys out there as agents, you've got to overcome it, but overcoming it by really honing in on rapport building. So hopefully this course is going to help you get there with this. So let's get into what we're going to talk about here in the course. So look, in this course, we're going to talk about what rapport building is, why it's important, and ways to utilize rapport building to increase your sales. All right. That's key. So as I told you, I was trained as a federal law enforcement agent, and I conducted hundreds of interviews and interrogations, okay, where I had to incorporate rapport building. While doing these interviews and interrogations, I had to learn how to build rapport with basically anyone. So in my job, I would interview drug dealers. I would then go and brief 4-star generals, right? Total different aspects. 4-star generals are college educated, very smart, analytical, all this, right? And then on the other aspect, I'm dealing with drug dealers or people on drugs or bank robbers, right? So a little bit different. I've got to be able to establish rapport with even those generals for the briefings, because if they don't think I know what I'm talking about or I haven't broke the ice with them, they're not really going to trust that I'm doing a great investigation for their unit or the Army. See, so it all plays together. So let's talk about the definition of rapport. So rapport is the ability to have good understanding of someone and the ability to communicate well with them. All right. So it's the ability to have good understanding with someone and the ability to communicate well with them. All right. So why is rapport building important, I think, in real estate? I mean, I covered it a little bit, but if you can break the ice and build rapport, it makes your job a lot easier from that point on. Like I said, sometimes if you can't even get to that point with somebody, they're never going to allow you into their house for appointments. They're never going to allow you to list their property because they just don't feel that trust and or likability with you, right? So like I always say, is trust and likability are two key factors in real estate. Breaking the ice and rapport building is going to be the easiest way to obtain both of those pretty quick. Trust, you'll get that later too, as you demonstrate your expertise and things like that. But ultimately, it's going to be how you project yourself with the rapport building. All right. So look, let's get into some easy and common ways to establish rapport, right? This is easy stuff. Look, so I always like to start off with two key pieces. Number one, you've got to come in with a lot of energy. You see that I'm teaching with energy, because if I came into this level up session, low energy, very monotone, you guys are not going to want to hear it, right? So you got to come in with passion and energy when you're talking to people, because that in itself establishes a rapport. They feel very excited that you're excited. I just won a listing out of a cold call from me. They called me out of nowhere. It was like 4:00 on a Friday. Seriously, it was. And he said, look, you guys are selling a lot of houses around my neighborhood. I want you to come look at mine and tell me how you would sell mine and things like that. So I met with him that night and told him I was going to bring my team on Monday to see it no matter what, but hopefully he would list with us. On Monday, I brought my team, did that. And then he called me late Monday and says, you're our guy. You know why you're our guy, David Frost? And I was like, well, what, I'm good? What? I don't know. But he says, your energy level and your passion, and you seem just as excited about my house as I am. So I feel like you're the right person to sell a house because you're energetic about it. So remember that when you go somewhere, you have to show energy and show passion about what you're doing. Okay. People see that, and that's a great way to break the ice, because they see that and it helps them think that you're really for them. Makes sense? All right. Another piece is you got to be excited to see them and or to walk their house or talk about their house or talk to them, right? These are things you have to relay. Hey, look, I'm extremely excited to meet you. I'm extremely excited to walk through your property. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with me, right? This is all part of rapport building to other personalities. So make sure those two things you do right off the bat, even on the phone, okay? Let's talk about how now you're going on an appointment, say. An easy way to do this, if you're going to an appointment, is the subdivision. You can easily, when you get to the house, talk about how great the subdivision is, how beautiful the houses are, right? If you don't know, if that's not the case with the subdivision, if it's just regular, then you right away, as you pull up to the house, you should be scanning the house. What's the house look like? What's the curb appeal look like? How are the plants, flowers, driveway, cleanliness, right? All these things are stuff that you can then hone in on. When you get to the door, you could say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, David Frost, glad to meet you. Thank you for having me out. Man, your curb appeal is outstanding. Obviously, that's one of the first things that buyers will see when they pull up is your curb appeal, how your house looks, how clean it looks, how the neighborhood looks. Everything is great. I think this is a great indication that you could sell your house fast. You see how right away I established that rapport with them? So they're going to say, oh, thank you very much. Well, come on in. It makes them at ease. Because remember this, when you're going to people's houses, you are going to encounter them being nervous too. Okay. They're going to be a little nervous. They're going to be quiet because they're worried that you're coming in and you're going to be objective and really criticize their house. So they're nervous. They think you're coming as an expert and you're going to be very hard on their house. So remember that. So neighborhood, curb appeal, subdivision, easy one to establish rapport. Look, the next piece is, where are they from? What state? What city? This is easy to talk a lot about, right? If they may be from where you're from, maybe they're from the state your wife or your husband is from. These are things you start establish rapport with. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally. So if somebody says, hey, I'm from Ohio, I'm like, oh, wow, well, I'm from Cleveland. Where are you from? Blah, blah. All right. Are you a Browns fan? Then I go into sports, right? Because I'm a sports guy. Do you see how I just relate it that way? It's easy to do, right? So where they're from and what city could easily be something you talk about right away, okay? Next would be their profession. What do they do for a living? Like here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, it's a military town. So I was former military, so it's easy for me to talk military. So if I get there, most of our clients have something to do with military or still in the military. So I can easily rapport build with that, okay? So rapport building, city, state, these are great ways to establish rapport with somebody. All right. What about hobbies? So like if I knew they were from Cleveland, like I said, are you a Cleveland Browns fan? Are you from Pittsburgh? Oh, you're a Steelers fan, a Philadelphia fan. I can relate it to any sports. Okay. So sports and hobbies are great. Maybe you saw they have a gym in the garage. Maybe you lift weights. Maybe you're into fitness. Maybe you should be. I am, but I should be more. So I hone in on that too. Like, wow, this is a great home gym. Do you think, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that home gyms are better than going to the gym? Do you find yourself getting motivated every day to go in there, or is it hard? Or you see, I'm establishing a rapport pretty easy there just on a home gym, right? Maybe they have a boat. Talk about boats, fishing, skiing, whatever it is, start talking about that. Think about that. A good way to hone in on some of that stuff too is scan photos. When you go into a house and you're walking the property, you should be scanning the photos. Sometimes they have photos of teams, photos of awards, photos of their kids, right? Kids is the next one I'm going to talk about. They have kids. I have 3 kids. So I can easily talk about my kids with them. What's the ages of your kids? Oh, then my kids are this age. My son's 3 and he's the boy. I have 2 girls. My son's crazy. He's got all this energy, They always laugh at that when I talk about my son and how crazy he is, and he attacks his sisters and he swings from chandeliers, and he's got a lot of energy, like I was, right? Like I did as a kid. So kids are another great way. How about cars? I'm a big car guy, meaning I've traded in a lot of cars in my time and have a lot of cars. So if I see a Cadillac, I could talk about Cadillacs I've owned too. Right now I have a Land Rover Defender. I could talk about a Land Rover. I also had a Land Rover Range Rover at one point. I've had different cars. So maybe cars are something you know about and you see one of their cars and you like it. Make sure to mention it. Man, that car's a nice car. That's a Land Rover Defender. Wow, that is nice. How much, when'd you get it? How long have you had it? Do you like it? What's the perks of it? You could talk about all kinds of things with cars, but it's easy to establish a rapport with somebody over cars as well. We talked about workout fitness already. Look, you could talk about your expertise. So say you are very familiar with that subdivision. Now you can definitely rapport build with them when you get there and say, listen, I know this subdivision better than any agent. I sold 10 houses in this subdivision, as an example, in the last year or in the last 6 months or 2 years. So I know the amenities. I know the comps pretty easy, so I know this neighborhood. So my expertise, your expertise would fall into rapport building and your success. So if you sold those, you definitely want to say, hey, look, and I sold every one of them, and average days on market were 6 days. So if we list this thing, be prepared for an offer quick and for you to close pretty soon, based on my success here, or my team's success, right? All right. Now shift with when you're in the house too. A good way to establish rapport, like I said, from all the other things I gave you, is the home design. How does the colors look? The furniture, right? The decor. This is a great way to get a really likable connection with people, is comment on that. Man, who picked the paint colors in this house or in this room? Did you? Wow, this is great. Great paint color. What's the color of that, by the way? Who designed the kitchen layout, right? Who picked this couch? Where did you get it? My goodness, this is great. This is really soft, right? You start establishing that stuff with them, right? And I already talked about the landscaping as well. So another last but not least piece to this is look for features in the home that stand out from a normal home or a similar home. Maybe they have an in-ground pool. Maybe they have a pergola. Maybe they have a bar downstairs. Maybe, like there could be all kinds of things, tile floors, granite countertops, depending on your market. So make sure to hone in on those and comment on how great those are, because the people in the house and the owners will definitely respond to that in a positive manner. So look, this concludes my rapport building course. I try to make it as simple as I could for everybody. And again, it sounds pretty simple, but it's really hard for a lot of people. But hopefully I made it as simple as I can so you can understand it. You can incorporate what I taught you. And just remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice at doing this, the better you're going to be. And I'm telling you, then it becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, you're going to see that you're going to get more appointments, you're going to get more listings, and you're going to increase your sales. So everybody, have a great day, great week, and great year. Take care.